All right. Welcome, everyone. We'll get started shortly. We're just going to wait a few minutes to give everyone plenty of time to arrive. Those of you who are here, if you want to type in the chat box, let us know where you're joining us from this evening. We love getting to see how far our classes are reaching, getting to connect with you all as our awesome audience base and avid aromatherapy learners. So if you feel comfortable, go ahead and type in the chat box and just let us know where you're joining from this evening. I am joining from Northern Virginia, our wonderful DMV. And if you have your settings in the chat box, you can always change the settings to chat with everyone. Otherwise, only myself and my co-host Elena will be able to see. It's totally up to you. Oh, we've got New Orleans. I've always wanted to go to New Orleans. It's on my top, I would say 10 bucket list for the places in the US. Ontario, Canada. I'm going to Canada in 2 weeks. I'm going to be in Vancouver for an event. Louisiana, couple of Illinois. Welcome, everyone. Northern Michigan. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I just chopped off I don't know, what's that, like 7 inches of hair. It's my summer look. We've got another Canada joining us this evening. Wonderful. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Wonderful. So those of you just joining us, we'll get started in a few minutes. I like to give it about maybe 4 minutes for everyone to be able to join us. Oklahoma. So the reason I'm saying all these states and places is if you are just joining us and you want to let us know where you're joining in from this evening, you can type your location in the chat box. We just like to see how far our classes are reaching, get to know all of you. Oh, awesome. We've got someone coming from Ohio. I go to Ohio every May. I take my students to my herb students to a botanical sanctuary outside of Rutland, Ohio. There's a United Plant Savers Botanical Sanctuary, and we go hiking for 5 days, learning how to identify plants, learning about endangered species, ethical wild harvesting. So I love Ohio. Los Angeles, Wisconsin, Raleigh, North Carolina, woo, Indiana. Wow, we're coming from all over tonight. Massachusetts. Welcome. I'm gonna give it maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. I don't want to take too long to get started this evening because there's so much to talk about tonight. But it does give me a minute to sip my tea. Okay. We'll give it another minute and get started. Connecticut, awesome. A lot of New Englanders, love New England. Lived in New England and Vermont. Okay, so this is the first time anyone in class has asked me about all the plants behind me, which makes me really happy because I'm a houseplant addict. Hi, my name is Betsy. I'm a houseplant addict. So I'm turned around with my directions here. So this one back here, yes, that's a Monstera. If I can get myself pointed correctly. That's a Monstera adansonii. I'm probably botching that name. I'm horrible at pronouncing the botanical names correctly, even though I should be good. It's an albo, although it's reverted. So you can see there's just a tiny bit of white right there. And that lets you know it's an elbow. Other than that, she's decided to revert to just plain old Monstera. This one on this side, that is a pothos of sorts. And I can't remember which one right now. Then I've got my peace lily and my cactus that my mom gave me. That's my Cebu blue pothos up there. Someone says they can't hear anything. What should I do? Check the volume settings on your computer. Can everyone else hear me okay? If you can just type in the chat box, someone say like, yeah, we can hear you great. Sometimes if you leave the meeting, okay, great. Thank you all. Got a couple people saying they can hear, great. So if you're having trouble hearing, check the volume settings on your computer, and then sometimes it can help if you leave the webinar and then join back in. And then you should get a little prompt that says join with computer audio, Wi-Fi, etc. So you should be able to troubleshoot that. I will say that, and it probably doesn't help if you can't hear me, so I'm sorry. If you're missing anything this evening, like if you have to duck out for a second, come back in. These recordings of these classes are put on our Aura Cacia YouTube page. So we'll put all the information for that towards the end of class. All right, so on that note, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Betsy Miller. I am one of the aromatherapy educators here at Aura Cacia. We have my amazing counterpart, Elena. She is handling the chat box for me this evening. So as we go through the class tonight, if you have any questions, please feel free to type those in the chat box. Elena is an amazing aromatherapist, and she will be able to answer your questions about carrier oils, essential oils, etc. We're also welcoming Elena back from maternity leave. Today is actually literally her first day back from maternity leave, and she is jumping on this webinar this evening. And I'm so happy to have her back. I missed her. Normally, Elena and I alternate these classes, so I do one month, she does another month. And since she's been on maternity leave, it's just been me, and it's great because I love teaching. I love everything to do with plants and talking about plants. But I've missed having her hanging out with me in the evenings. It's a lot of fun. So welcome back to Elena. So again, my name is Betsy Miller. I am an aromatherapist. I'm also a clinical herbalist. So I do a lot of education on the herb side of the company as well. So a little bit about Aura Cacia to get us started, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the content for tonight. And I do want to say really quickly, if we do have a live transcript going, if you don't want to see the live transcript, you can hit the CC button at the bottom of the screen, and then you can hit hide subtitles and you won't see any words distracting you. So, Aura Cacia, we are part of Frontier Co-op. I like to say that Frontier is our mothership. And under Frontier, we have Aura Cacia. We do the essential oils, the skincare oils, the air freshening products. We have Simply Organic, and Simply Organic does my current favorite product of theirs is the fajita seasoning. I'm making shrimp fajitas for dinner tomorrow, and I always use that fajita seasoning. And then we have Plant Boss, and they do vegan alternatives for things like tacos and sloppy joes. And Frontier, I should say, bulk herbs and spices. So things like echinacea and lavender flowers and elderberries, all the wonderful herbs and spices. So I've been with Aura Cacia for, Elena, what? We're going on 10 years now. It's been a while. We've been here for a while. Elena and I have been the two primary aromatherapy educators for a while, and literally our jobs are to teach you about plants, teach you about one aspect of plants, which is the essential oils, and a second aspect, which is the carrier oils. And I'll differentiate what I mean between essential oils and carrier oils in just a minute. But I've been part of the plant world what feels like my entire life. I started studying herbal medicine when I was 12 years old. I had this experience at a summer camp where we were canoeing. This is my motion for canoeing, apparently. And I got out of my canoe and I slipped on the riverbank and fell into a patch of stinging nettles. And I was wearing my bathing suit, so bare legs, right into a patch of stinging nettles. And my camp counselor, she took me up on the bank, and she got some fresh growing burdock leaves, mashed them up a little bit, and put the burdock leaves on my nettle stings. And I immediately just felt an incredible sense of relief from the stinging. And the nettle moment, that was my like, oh my God, I hate nature. I never want to go outside again. Get me back to suburbia. And then the burdock moment was my like, oh my gosh, what is this magic? I have to learn this. And that set me on this path of just being a little bit plant obsessed. So I do the herbs, I do the essential oils, and I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to connect with you all and talk a little bit about plants. If you hear a squeaking sound, my dog has just found her squeaky toy in the background, so I apologize if there's a squeaky sound. My 5-year-old brought home a new squeaky toy for her from the store the other day, and she's been very excited about it. Okay, so tonight's class, we're doing a deep dive into skincare oils. So when we talk, no squeaking. When we talk about oils, we have what we call essential oils, and we have our carrier oils. Essential oils are the aromatic compounds that we distill out of plants. They are rich in things like monoterpenes and sesquiterpenes. They are volatile compounds. When I talk about carrier oils and skincare oils, those are lipid-based oils, so actual fat-based oils, like the olive oil we cook with in our kitchen, the coconut oil we cook with in our kitchen. So even though we call both types oils, essential oils and carrier oils, only carrier oils are truly what we think of as an oil, a lipid, a fat-based product. The reason we call them carrier oils is because we use them to safely carry essential oils onto our skin. We never ever put essential oils directly on our skin, even something as gentle seeming as lavender, because over time it can cause a someone commented about the squeak. Oh yeah, it's adorable. I'm sorry if it was a little distracting. It distracted me for a minute, but she's very excited about her new squeaky toy. So even something as gentle as lavender, we never want to put that directly on our skin because over time it can cause what's called a sensitization or an allergy. And you start to react to it even if you just inhale it. So we always want to make sure we're practicing essential oil safety. And that's one of the reasons we use carrier oils. We can put essential oils into carrier oils and then use those carrier oils to apply the essential oil to the skin. We get the aromatherapy benefit that way, and we get what's called the transdermal absorption through the skin. And the carrier actually helps facilitate that. Essential oils are volatile. That means they evaporate into the airspace very quickly. So if you were to put it directly on your skin, you actually wouldn't get as much absorbed through the skin as if you put it to a carrier in a carrier oil first, because it chemically binds to the carrier oil and allows for more continued absorption instead of loss to evaporation. So there's so many reasons that we love carrier oils when it comes to their dynamic with essential oils. On top of that, though, carrier oils have their own innate benefits for skincare. All carrier oils, regardless of if we're talking about sweet almond oil, apricot kernel oil, argan oil, they're all rich in EFAs, essential fatty acids. When we eat things like avocado and salmon and olive oil, we're taking in essential fatty acids that have tons of health benefits for our cardiovascular system. You know, if you're into nutrition, go on a essential fatty acid deep dive and learn all the amazing things they do for our body when we eat them as food. When we put them on our body as skincare, they have similar effects in terms of being able to nourish, soothe, and support the quality of our skin. So I love using skincare oils, especially especially as I age. I'm approaching 40 and I've noticed changes in my skin in the last few years, especially since having kids. I didn't used to have gray hairs, now I do. I saw this really funny I guess meme or whatever comic the other day that was it was a bluey meme. If your parents, you know what I mean when I say bluey. It's a show for parents that kids love because it's a cartoon. It's about these Australian blue healers. And the mom was saying, like, oh, I've been tired for 5 years. And Bluey says, that's how old I am. The mom is like, really? Isn't that funny? So especially since becoming a mom, but as I approach 40, I've noticed changes in my skin. And my skin doesn't hold its hydration as well as it used to. When I run outside, I notice that my hands get so much more like dry and cracked than they did 10, 15 years ago. And I've started to really cultivate a deep relationship with skincare oils to make sure that just like I take care of my body with nutrition and exercise, to take care of my skin as I get older and as my body changes. Our skin is our body's largest organ, which just blows my mind, right? We think of it as just this casing, right, that we live in. But our skin is actually a living, breathing organ. It has its own microbiome, which is amazing. Your skin is teeming with bacteria that keeps you healthy and keeps you safe. And just like our gut microbiome interacts with our nerves, our brain, every other part of our body, so does the microbiome on our skin. So we have to prioritize skincare as part of whole body health, whole body wellness. And one thing that I take very seriously is being just as cognizant of what I'm putting on my body as what I'm putting in my body. So I prioritize clean eating whenever I can. I'm a huge believer of 80-20 because every once in a while a Snickers bar hits the spot, right? But 80% of the time, my diet is clean, right? I'm eating whole foods, nutrients. And when I think about my skincare, my makeup, everything that I'm putting on my body, our skin being our largest organ is absorbing. So we want to make sure that what our skin is absorbing, the messaging that we're sending our skin is going to be in line with our other values around health and wellness. So that's why I love good quality skincare oils. So when we talk about skincare oils and how we pick the right oil for us, we divide skincare, or there's a grading system, I should say. A grading system for carrier oils called comedogenic value. And Elena can type comedogenic value in the chat box so you can have the spelling for that. So the comedogenic rating, it's a scale that shows how likely a carrier oil is, or a substance, because there's other things rated on the comedogenic value scale. But how likely a substance is to clog your pores. A comedone is actually the fancy name, the scientific name, biomedical, whatever we call it, for a pore, right? So comedogenic, genic, anytime you see the word genic on the end of a word, it means to generate. So comedogenic, generating of a comedone. Um, Carrier oils with a lower comedogenic value are less likely to clog pores compared to carrier oils with a higher comedogenic value. So when we grade these oils, anything with a rating of 0 to 1 is considered non-comedogenic, not likely to clog pores. That's what we recommend for very oily skin, acne-prone skin that, the type of person who says, like, if I put anything on my face, I break out within, an hour a day. We want to prioritize non-comedogenic oils for that type of skin. Anything that is a comedogenic rating of 2 to 3 is considered low to medium range comedogenic value. For most of us, it won't cause any problems with clogging pores. For people who have very oily or acne prone skin, it might. So you want to stray more toward, it doesn't mean you can't use them. It means you want to prioritize the low comedogenic value oils, or the non-comedogenic, I should say. And I'll talk about blending them as we get further on. And then anything with a comedogenic rating of 4 to 5, high comedogenic. Probably don't want to use it on your face in general, but especially if you're prone to clogged pores and acne and oily skin. They would be more indicated for extremely dry or mature skin. So that's how we decide which oils are best for, in particular, facial care, is using this comedogenic rating. So just for the sake of organization tonight, I divided the class into starting with the non-comedogenic oils, and then we'll progress to the mid-range and then end with the high comedogenic oils before we make 2 just really fun recipes tonight. We're going to make one facial serum that's low comedogenic. I can't say completely non-comedogenic because it has a little bit of jojoba in it, although I personally believe jojoba is non-comedogenic, and I'll get to that. And then we'll make a higher comedogenic value oil that's meant for more whole body application, like after you get out of the shower. So our non-comedogenic oils that we're going to talk about tonight, we have grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil is one of my absolute favorite facial oils. It is so light. It is very quickly absorbed. And one thing I want to point out with our skincare oils is that we actually put the absorption rate for the oils right there on the bottle. So if you can't remember what I'm saying in class tonight, totally okay. You can grab a bottle of Aura Cacia carrier oil and you'll know right on the bottle if it says fast absorption, that's low or non-comedogenic. If it says slow absorption, that's higher comedogenic value. Anything with slow absorption, you probably don't want to put on your face, especially, like, I don't like going out with a really greasy, oily face. So again, lower comedogenic will be fast absorption on our scale. We also put several tips for how to use the carrier oil here. So for example, add to a cotton ball and use to remove makeup. One of my favorite ways to use grapeseed oil is as a makeup remover. I also like to use it to dilute down some of the heavier oils. So something like fractionated coconut. Fractionated coconut would be a medium range comedogenic value oil, but I love how hydrating it is for my skin in the winter. So, and especially I spend a lot of time outside in the winter because my kids are apparently impervious to cold. So I'm out there. I was at my son's baseball practice for an hour this evening, freezing my butt off here in Northern Virginia because it was like 46 and wind blowing. And I know that 46 is like nothing to those of you who are up in Canada or in New England, but I was cold. So in the winter, I like to use a heavier oil on my face, especially before I go out running, because it helps protect me from wind damage. So again, our skin, our largest organ, it's also the organ that's most exposed to outside influences, wind, sun, everything we're putting on it, chemical exposure from, poor quality water. So our skin right up there with our digestive system in terms of exposure. So I like to protect it before I go for a run by putting a serum on my face. So coconut oil is a go-to for me, the fractionated in the summer, in the winter, and I'll cut it with something lighter that's super easily absorbed, like grapeseed oil. We also have hemp seed oil. Hemp seed, I wish I could like carefully pour this out in a way that won't make a big disaster of a mess. I'm going to try to do just a little squirt. I'm going to do it up close to the screen so you can see. It looks like heavy and green and thick, but that's actually like, it's misleading because hemp seed oil actually has a comedogenic value of 0. Grapeseed oil has a comedogenic value of 1. So even though it looks thinner and runnier than hemp seed, which looks thick and green, hemp seed is incredibly well absorbed, very, very fast. And actually one of my favorites for infant care. So when my boys were born, they had pretty significant cradle cap. One of them had really like dry skin that eventually we realized was related to a cow's milk protein allergy. But I did baby massage every day with hemp seed oil because it's so gentle, it's so non-comedogenic, and very, very soothing and nourishing to the skin. Everything that we think of with eating hemp seeds and their incredibly rich fatty acid profile, that same effect translates to skincare, right? It's nourishing, protecting, soothing to the skin. Anytime there's something like hot, red, irritated on the skin, I always think of hemp seed oil. We also have 2 of my favorites for facial serum, argan and rosehip. We're going to work with rosehip tonight, so I'm not going to say as much about it right now because I'll talk more about it when we get to the facial serum that we're going to make. But argan, this one, I think, wasn't it Kim Kardashian that mentioned it like 5 years ago for like hair care and it just like exploded in popularity? It is very, very big for hair care. I love it for facial care. It's not quite as quickly absorbed as, even though it has a comedogenic value of 0, it takes a little bit longer to absorb than grapeseed. So I do argan at night and rosehip during the morning because rosehip gets absorbed more quickly. So my facial care routine is I wash my face, I do my facial toner, and then I put on my skin serum. So in the morning I do the blend that we're going to make tonight, and then I put on, if I'm using foundation that day, and I like to use the SPF 30 foundation just for sun protection. But at night, similar process. I wash, tone, and then argan oil. And I add different essential oils at night than I do during the day because I want ones that are not only good for skin, but for the aromatherapy benefit for relaxation and rest. So, and I can mention some of those when we're making the skin serum later. But argan also is wonderful for the hair. I really like putting it on before I do any heat treatments on my hair. So I'll put a couple of pumps in my palm and then massage it into damp hair. And I'll actually add a squirt of castor oil to that too. I'm going to talk about castor next. And then that's when I do the either hair dryer or diffuser, or if I'm going to let it naturally dry and then straighten anything or curl. Because argan really helps to bind to the your hair and nourish it, deal with what are those called? Like split ends, and really help lock in hydration and nourishment to the hair. So anytime you're going to be applying high heat, I think of a blend of castor oil and argan oil. Castor oil. So I don't know if you guys have seen, like, I'm not on the TikTok, but I know castor oil is just blowing up on TikTok right now. I'm not sure exactly what started it, but it's huge right now. And one of the things I'm most excited about is that we have castor oil in a 1 ounce bottle now instead of just we have a 1 ounce, we have the 4 ounce, the 8 ounce, and the 16 ounce. What I love about the 1 ounce bottle, oh, it has a dropper bottle. So what's interesting about castor is that even though it's extremely low comedogenic, it's very thick and goopy and sticky. I mean, it's not easy to work with. So I don't love it for the texture, but I love it for the effects. It's incredibly toning and astringent to the skin. So when I make a skin serum, and I'm going to do this tonight, I actually put a couple squirts of castor oil into it. So it's not a primary ingredient, but it lends that toning, astringing benefit. And you'll find it in a lot of products oriented towards like anti-wrinkle and anti-aging, because it has that strengthening and toning effect on the skin. Similarly to what we expect from the hair, it's protecting, strengthening, and toning for the hair. So, like I said, with the argan oil, I'll do a squirt of argan oil and a squirt of castor oil and apply it to damp hair before I do anything with it. So I love the versatility now of the 1 ounce bottle. I do want to bring attention to some of the other uses I've seen out there for castor oil that I'm going to discourage, which is in particular castor oil for inducing labor. This is not meant to be taken internally, right? There is a history of use in Ayurvedic medicine for digestive effects, and that's a whole different ballgame. Our carrier oils are not packaged in a food grade facility, so these are not intended for internal use. But even if it were packaged in a food grade facility, I just want to strongly discourage anyone from trying to use castor oil to induce labor. As an herbalist, I specialize in women's reproductive health. I work very closely with midwives, and I've seen some stuff with women using castor oil to try to induce labor, and it's very dangerous for mama, for baby in particular. So there are other safer ways to do that, and that's where you want to make sure you're speaking with a midwife and OB, and not following someone on TikTok who said that they added castor oil to a smoothie to induce labor. So I just wanted to put that out there for safety purposes, for due diligence and responsibility on my part. Please don't put things in your body unless you've been directed to by an expert, not a TikToker. Where I do love using castor oil is hair, skincare. I love doing it on eyebrows. When I was younger, I had an anxiety disorder where I would like actually pick out my eyebrow hair, and I had pretty significant loss of eyebrow hair. And what I like to do is get the brow brushes, and I'll dip a brow brush in the bottle of castor oil and make sure you're getting all the drips off, because you don't want it anywhere near getting in your eyes. And then I'll do that brow brush with the castor oil to help thicken eyebrows and improve the eyebrow hair health. And it really has helped with me. I mean, I'm not picking my eyebrows out anymore. I did the work to deal with the anxiety disorder, but it really helped with helping to, come back from that. I'm gonna take a quick sip of my tea here. I'm obsessed with this. Is a decaf vanilla chai from Stash. So good. I do also see people using castor oil on eyelashes to help thicken eyelashes. Totally fine if you're doing it carefully. I don't recommend trying to apply it with either a Q-tip or a cotton ball, because again, castor oil in the eye can be extremely uncomfortable, also painful. So I use a mascara brush, dip it in the castor oil bottle, and make sure you're getting any excess drip off of that brush before you try to put it on your eyebrows. My recommendation with castor is if you're doing it as a hair serum or treatments on your eyebrows or eyelashes, it's not meant to be a daily thing. I'll do it a couple times a week, once, twice, that's it. Just because it is a very strong oil, and it can cause skin sensitivity or skin reactions for people who are extremely sensitive, or if you're doing it too much. The other way that I love using castor oil, and I would recommend getting the larger bottle, the 16-ounce bottle, is castor oil packs. So for anything like abdominal related, or if I've gone out for a run or done some heavy lifting and my knees are achy, I like to do a castor oil pack. And that's where you heat the castor oil. I'll usually do it in a double boiler on the stove, or in a glass bowl that'll turn into a double boiler. So a pot, water in the pot, glass bowl fitted over the water. And boil the water on, or not boil it. So heat it on medium low, because you don't want the oil to get too hot. Warm the oil and then dip flannel into it. Take that flannel, wring it out so it's not heavily dripping, and apply that to whatever part of your body needs a little bit of support. An easier way to do it is you can literally just massage castor oil into, into your abdomen, into your joint, wherever you need it, and then apply a heating pad. So castor oil is one of our most deeply penetrating oils. It's used a lot in herbal medicine for infused oils, like calendula infused oil, to help deeply facilitate the absorption of the other ingredients. So when I make creams and salves, I actually love putting a little bit of castor oil in it. I do about 10% castor to help facilitate better absorption of whatever ingredients I'm putting in the salve. So castor oil, again, it's not an oil that I often work with just by itself because of how gloopy, that's my professional word, gloopy, how gloopy it is. But it's one of my favorite carrier oils because of what it's able to do for our skin, for our hair, and for absorption of other ingredients. Rosehip I'm going to set aside because we're going to talk about it later. So those are our non-comedogenic value oils. Our mid-range comedogenic value oils are going to be the majority of our oils. So I'm going to bring my stash over here. For the sake of time tonight, I'm not going to go into extreme detail about each and every one, but I'm going to generalize how I use this category of oil and highlight a few. I have to highlight jojoba. Jojoba is by far my favorite carrier oil, hands down, for so many reasons. Number one, it's not actually an oil, so it's not a lipid, a fat. It's a wax-based ester, so it's actually a liquid wax. What that means is it has a significantly longer shelf life than any other carrier oil. Most carrier oils have a shelf life of about 1 to 3 years. Something like a rosehip, much more delicate, 6 months to a year maximum if you're storing it in a cool, dry place. Most other carrier oils, closer to 2 to 3 years. Jojoba, kind of indefinite because it's a wax, it's not a lipid. So I have jojoba oil that's, 6, 7, 8 years old, and I still use it, and it's perfect. What that means is, not only is it, more worth the investment because it lasts so much longer, it adds shelf life to whatever product you're making. So when you're making a facial serum like we're going to make tonight, and you have rosehip that's super delicate and jojoba that's super preservative, when you combine them, the jojoba is going to extend the shelf life of that rosehip serum. So one of the many reasons I love it. Another reason I love it, and one of the reasons why I argue that I consider it more non-comedogenic than mid-range, because technically its comedogenic value is 2, which is still very low, but it's not considered non-comedogenic. It most closely resembles the sebum produced by our own skin. So sebum is the combination of wax and oil that our skin produces, and that's what can get trapped in pores and clog pores. So jojoba most closely resembles that blend of oil and wax produced by our own skin. So it actually has a regulating effect on oil production. And that's one of the reasons that I love it, because it's so well tolerated by mature skin, by acne prone skin, by oily skin, because it's more regulating than it's not going to stimulate oil production or be too drying. So I adore jojoba. I use it literally for everything that I make. You can also use it as a makeup remover. I use grapeseed oil more for that. But jojoba, when I make creams and salves, especially creams are when you combine an oil phase and a water phase and you emulsify it into a cream. Jojoba is going to help extend the shelf life because creams are more likely to go rancid because they have that water component. So I work with jojoba a lot when I make my own skincare products. I also wanted to highlight sweet almond. Sweet almond, I think of as like the gateway carrier oil. It's a really good starter carrier oil. If you're just getting into your journey of skincare and making products, sweet almond is the way to go. It's mid-range absorption, so it's not going to get absorbed super fast, but it also, it's not going to just linger on the body and feel greasy and oily forever, like regular coconut oil would. So it's great for, you can use it for massage. You can use it for facial care in mature skin. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for very acne prone skin or oily skin. But it's a really good, just general carrier oil when you're just getting started. We also have, interestingly, in this category, shea butter. A lot of people think of the butters as super high comedogenic value, but shea butter really isn't. It gets absorbed pretty quickly. Our shea butter is unrefined, so that means it has not been processed by heat. So we want it to have that really beautiful, rich white color to it, almost yellowish. That indicates, if it was pure white, that's more indicative of a refined shea butter. If it has this slight yellow tinge to it, that's more indicative of an unrefined, and it has that just gorgeous shea smell. I put this on my hands every night before bed, just, thumbnail a little bit of it out of the container and massage it on my poor abused hands, because it's so nourishing and hydrating. I also love adding this to homemade creams and salves. It just adds that nice, silky, buttery feel to it. So this one is very, very well tolerated by most skin types compared to cocoa butter, which I'll get to. That's a higher comedogenic value oil. Can be a little bit irritating if you have more sensitive skin or acne prone skin. So even if I'm making like a face balm, like an under eye balm, and I want it to be a little thicker and creamier, but still readily absorbed, that's where shea butter comes into play. I also want to highlight, so fractionated coconut oil. I get a lot of questions about what's the difference between unrefined coconut oil and fractionated coconut oil. So unrefined coconut oil in the tub, this is solid at room temperature. So it looks like, it's not going to come out. Solid at room temperature. You have to melt it with heat. Unrefined coconut oil has been distilled essentially to take out one of the types. So there's a couple of different fatty acids that we have in our, or different triglycerides, I should say, that we have in oils. We have short chain fatty acids, medium chain fatty acids, and long chain fatty acids. And they have different bonds. I'm not going to get too deep into the chemistry here, but the bond is what determined whether or not an oil is a solid or a liquid. So when we distill the unrefined coconut oil to take out some of those bonds, that's what makes it fractionated and stay liquid at room temperature. It doesn't mean chemicals have been added to it. It doesn't mean chemicals have been used in that process. It just means we've literally removed a type of triglyceride from the coconut oil that allows it to stay liquid at all temperatures. And I love fractionated coconut oil. It's very fast absorbing, tongue tie. So it actually really is good for facial applications. I usually do combine it with a grape seed or an apricot kernel, something that's just ever so slightly lighter, because it still feels a little thicker, just texture wise, but it is very quickly absorbed. And fun fact about coconut oil, unrefined or fractionated, out of all of these carrier oils, fractionated, or coconut oil in general, is the most easy to launder out of clothing. I guarantee you I have spilled every single one of these carrier oils on a piece of clothing at some point in my herbal career. And I've had to throw out several pieces of clothing that the stain would not come out from the oil. But coconut oil, again, whether or not it's unrefined or fractionated, washes out of clothes so easily. So that's just a little fun fact about it. What else did I want to highlight? Black seed oil. So this is one that I'm using more than I used to. It's on the newer side for the Aura Cacia line, newer as in within the last several years. The others have been around for quite a long time. So this comes from Nigella sativa, and it's becoming one of my favorites for scalp and hair care in particular. I've actually been playing around a lot with combining black seed oil and castor for hair treatment. My hair, I have a history of dyeing it flaming red, and I miss doing that. I haven't done it in a while, and I'm due for a flaming red hair dye. But my hair is pretty abused from all, 20 years of dyeing it. And I've been working really hard to try to rehab my hair. So I've been playing around with different blends of oils that are traditionally used for hair care. And I had started out with argan and castor, and I really enjoyed that. And then I added black seed into the mix and started doing black seed and castor. And I've noticed such a difference in like the texture and lack of frizziness, which is really exciting for me. I can judge the humidity in the DC area by how much my hair frizzes out. Um, and it seems healthier. So I can personally vouch for the combination of black seed and castor for hair care. Who else did I want to highlight? Oh, sesame. So I'm going to use sesame tonight. Our recipes don't call for sesame, but I'm going to add a little bit into one of the recipes tonight. This is probably my favorite for whole body winter skin. It is incredibly soothing, hydrating, and nourishing for the skin. I spend a lot of time outside in the winter, well, all seasons. And sesame oil, when I put it on, it really helps lock in moisture. So my recommendation for applying oil, regardless if we're talking face or body, is apply it to slightly damp skin. That facilitates better absorption of the oil, but it also helps lock in the moisture from your shower, from washing your face. And I really feel that with the sesame. So I also love sesame for massage. When we do massage, we want an oil that has a slower absorption rate. You don't want to put something like grapeseed oil on for a massage, or something super fast like fractionated coconut oil on for a massage, and then in a few seconds you find yourself massaging mostly dry skin because it absorbs so quickly. We want an oil that's going to linger on the surface of the skin longer. So sesame oil lingers. Avocado oil is another great one for massage. It's even more slow absorbing than sesame. So I do a lot of massage with avocado oil. And there was one more I wanted to mention, and shea nut oil. Shea nut oil is also on the slower end for absorption compared to the butter, which actually absorbs a little bit more fast, which is interesting. But shea nut is another one that I love for massage. So those are, other three. I'm not going to get into each one individually, but considered mid-range comedogenic value. We've got Tamanu. Traditionally, this one is used for scalp care and foot care. We have Baobab, which I've been playing around with more for facial applications for mature skin, and I really love it. And then macadamia nut oil, and this one much more slower absorbing than the other ones we have in these pretty 1 ounce glass bottles. So this one I've been playing around with, combining with avocado, with shea nut, with sesame for massage. And I really like how much it lingers on the skin. And it really has it leaves the skin feeling very silky in particular. So I've really enjoyed that with macadamia nut. And then our last category of comedogenic ratings this evening, we have cocoa butter and coconut oil. So coconut oil, this is the unrefined, and it really smells like coconut. I love it. And one of the reasons I love having a coconut that's solid at room temperature is if I have like patches of dry skin on my hand, I can literally just rub my finger on the surface of it and it will liquefy on my finger just simply based on my body heat. And then I can just massage it into certain places, like especially my knuckles tend to get very dry, certain places on my skin. And I especially do that if I don't want oil on my palms, like if I'm doing like on my computer or I'm working in the kitchen, or my husband makes fun of me all the time because when I put my shea butter on at night, I can't open the doorknob of our bedroom if I need to go back out of the bedroom. So if I'm upstairs and he's downstairs, I have to call him to come open the door for me because I can't grip it with my, my greasy hands. So I like having something that's really simple to just apply locally. But you can see it lingers on the skin. I don't know if you can really see how shiny that is. That is not going to absorb quickly. That's going to hang out there for a little while, and my hands are going to look greasy and shiny. I use this a lot for making chest balms. because you can make a salve without having to add beeswax. So a salve is just an oil combined with beeswax to harden it. You can make a chest rub with, like, for example, the Clearing, the kids line. Everything back here. So we have this kids line of essential oils, and there's one called Clearing. That's really great for winter months. So you can melt a little bit of coconut oil. Obviously, you don't want to melt it in here because it's plastic. You scoop a little bit out, melt it in a pot on the stove, pour it into a glass container. Add, depending on how many ounces you have in there, if you have 2 ounces, you can add 24 drops of the Clearing essential oil blend. Let it cool, and it'll harden again. And then you have a chest balm ready to go for the cold winter months that you can just rub your finger on it, get some of that balm out of there, and it'll be really easy to massage into the chest, and then you can get that aromatherapy breathing. I also like to add it to creams and salves, again, because it helps them firm up. In particular, it helps with the emulsification process between water and oil, because it adds another solidifying element. There's so many different ways to use coconut oil. And then lastly, before we make our 2 fun recipes, we've got cocoa butter. The main thing I wanted to show about cocoa butter is that, well, 2 things. It smells like chocolate. It does not taste like chocolate. I tried it. Not, again, these aren't meant for internal use, but something that smells like chocolate that much makes you kind of want to lick it, but don't. It does not taste good. The other thing I wanted to say is that a lot of people are really confused about how to work with it. Like, this is solid in here. Like, I can't, I can scrape a little bit out on my fingernail, but it's really difficult to get large amounts of cocoa butter out of these containers. The way you're meant to get them out is you take a paring knife and you cut essentially a triangle shape into the butter with a paring knife, and then you lift it out. And that's how you get chunks of cocoa butter out. This really isn't, in my opinion, meant to be applied directly on the skin the way shea butter is, or even coconut oil, just because it's unrefined and so hard. It doesn't massage in very well. So I like to use it to make either a whipped cocoa butter. So that's where you melt it with a different carrier oil, and then you, as it's cooling, you can whip it, and it makes that like really luxurious body butter. I also like, again, adding it to creams and salves because it helps, in particular, the creams emulsify and thicken. It's great if you're trying to make a thick, luxurious cream. Or with a salve, it adds a little bit of firmness to your salve, so your salve doesn't feel so much like Vaseline. But these 2 are the highest comedogenic value products that we carry. So I don't use these on my face or on really anyone's face. Okay. So the last thing we're going to be doing tonight is we are going to be making 2 really fun recipes. So I'm going to start with the facial serum. And my trick for the facial serum, I love putting facial serums in dropper bottles like this because we don't use a lot on our face. We use like a squirt and massage it into clean, damp skin. So what I like to do, if I can find, where did my rose hip go? It was hiding. I pour an ounce. So this is a 1 ounce bottle. I pour half of it out into another bottle, into something like this that has, just the screw top lid. Because these are nice when you need a lot of oil for whole body application, because you can pour a dollop out. But when you only need a little bit, it can feel wasteful because sometimes you pour too much out and you don't want all of that on your face. So I have a ½ ounce left in this rose hip bottle. And then you can use the pump mechanism and only do a small squirt in your hand and apply that. So Elena is going to put links to the recipes for tonight in the chat box for you, so you don't have to try to write everything down. But I just know that I am cutting the recipe in half for tonight so that it can fit in the 1 ounce bottle. So I have an ounce of rosehip already in there. And then I'm going to do 2 of my favorite carry or essential oils for facial care. I have neroli, which, oh my gosh, if I could have any natural body odor, it would be either neroli or lang lang. They like neroli is just it's so exotic. It comes from an orange blossom and it is just so it has that like citrus floral just I don't know. It's amazing. Like I think neroli is probably what Aphrodite smelled like. But when it comes to skincare, it's incredibly soothing and regenerative, and it just really promotes that like glowing, healthful, like vital look of the skin. So again, I'm cutting the recipe in half because I'm only doing 1 total ounce of carrier oil. And the ratio of essential oil to carrier oil for facial care is 6 drops total of essential oil per ounce of carrier oil. So I'm doing 3 drops of this. And these are the what we call our in jojoba line. We do have neroli by itself, not diluted in jojoba. It's much more expensive than the in jojoba line. The in jojoba line comes with the essential oil already diluted in jojoba. So you can actually put it on your skin right out of the bottle. Jojoba, again, is very well tolerated, very low comedogenic. So you can even put the neroli directly on your skin, the in jojoba line. And then I'm going to be doing 3 drops of geranium. Geranium, also incredibly soothing and regenerative to healthy skin. It's also very calming in general. 1, 2, 3 drops of that. And then we are going to top it off with my favorite, an ounce of jojoba. Go. And now we have a amazing facial serum right in an easy application squirt bottle. So you give it a couple of squirts to get it started, and then you just apply it to clean, damp skin. So again, I wash my face, I do a facial toner. I really like there's a facial toner by the company is Andalou Naturals. That's what I use. I love their facial toners. And then I put on my skin serum, and then I'm ready to go for the day and put on my makeup. The next one that we're going to make is a body oil. So it's an Indian sandalwood and rose body oil. Oh, and I was going to say, I want to show you guys what I do quickly with the facial serum. I'm going to add about 2 milliliters, so 2 squirts of castor oil to this recipe. So that's just enough to have the awesome effects of castor oil without having to deal with like the gloopiness of castor oil. So that's what I love to do with my serums is I add a couple of squirts of castor oil to it. Okay, our next recipe, we are going to do sandalwood and rose body oil. And I'm changing the recipe a little bit because I'm going to combine sesame with the almond oil for whole body application. Because again, it just adds a little bit more of an intensely nourishing and hydrating effect when we combine those oils. So also very easy. Indian sandalwood is so nice. We're going to do 12 drops of this. 1, 2, 12. And 12 drops of rose. This is also the in jojoba. So you'll recognize the in jojoba. This is one of the older bottles. Now we have that yellow strip at the top, but it will say in jojoba. So that means you know this one's already diluted. This could go on the skin right out of the bottle where the other essential oils have to be diluted if they're just the essential oil. We're gonna do 12 drops of this. Rose and sandalwood together. Okay. Such a phenomenal combination for not only skincare, but just for grounding and well-being and just feelings of like calm and centeredness. Then we are going to do an ounce of sweet almond, and you just want to make sure that you take these little things off the top so you can actually squirt them out. So we have an ounce of sweet almond. So I'm eyeballing it about halfway up the bottle. And then an ounce of sesame. What I love about these oils too is that most of them don't have their own aroma. Obviously the unrefined coconut oil smells very much like coconut, but the rest of them, the aroma is very benign. So when we're using these for skincare with essential oils, we want to be able to smell the essential oils. So they don't mask the scent of the essential oils, which is amazing. And the other thing I'll say is you notice that all of our carrier oils come in dark colored bottles. This is to protect the integrity of the oil inside because oil can get damaged. It gets oxidized by exposure to light, heat, and moisture. So when we are storing our carrier oils, like our essential oils, we want to store them in a cool, dark place. So one of the worst places to store your carrier oils is in the bathroom if that bathroom has a shower. We want to store them in a dark cabinet in a place that doesn't get a lot of heat and moisture. So I'll keep this amount in my bathroom and then the back stock not in the bathroom. You just shake it up and you're going to apply it after a shower to clean damp skin to really seal in that moisture and promote incredibly healthy, nourished skin. So I know Elena has been doing a wonderful job this evening in the chat box. I am just going to double check and see if I missed any questions directly for me, but it looks like she's got it covered. Oh, Elena's the best. Yay. All right. Well, just a couple of closing announcements for you all. We are, as Elena, I think she put the link to our YouTube channel in, did I do that? So this happened last class. I learned that I can do this and it'll do fireworks. I learned that I can do this and it will do rain. And then apparently I made it do like a little thumbs up symbol. I'm having too much fun with this new iPhone and what it does and the effects. So, announcements. Yes. So Elena's going to put a link to our YouTube channel. We have recordings of our past virtual classes up on the YouTube channel. The one that I really want to direct you all to is our 3-part aromatherapy series on top notes, middle notes, and base notes for essential oils. So if you really want to dig deeper into aromatherapy and learn about the different types of essential oils, kind of like we did tonight with the comedogenic value rating, we did an individual class for top notes, an individual class for middle notes and base notes. It's a great series, but Elena will put the link for our YouTube channel in the chat box. We also have a promotion code for you. That code is AC2590, and you can use that online at the Aura Cacia website for a discount on any of our carrier oils, essential oils, to get you started on your blending journey. Our next class is going to be on Thursday, April 18th, same time, 7:30 Central, with Elena. And we are going to be doing some debunking of essential oil industry myths, like which essential oils can you put directly on your skin? Can you drink essential oils? What is therapeutic grade? So if any of those questions intrigue you, be sure to join us on April 18th with Elena. Again, if you're not able to attend it, you will be able to watch the recording live on YouTube, but we hope to see you all there. And then be sure to follow us on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. We do Facebook Lives all the time. We often do giveaways, and we just love connecting with all of you during these free classes. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, everyone. I hope that you were able to learn a little bit about our amazing line of skincare oils and that you are able to join us for a future class. Have a great night, everybody.